In the previous video, Zenko and Koshiro decided to try to be a couple so that the girl reveals how to change bodies to her friend, who wants to be Kaga, as he envies him. And Ayumi received a call from a mysterious woman asking if she had switched bodies. Ayumi and Kaga are testing tips they found while researching to get their friend back to her original body. After trying almost everything on the list, the girl reveals that she received a call from a woman, and she said she could help her if she took her bird back. However, the protagonist is afraid to go there. But Kaga supports her and accompanies her. Meanwhile, Zenko and Koshiro are on a date and having fun. When Ayumi and Kaga arrive at the woman's laboratory, she reveals that she has also switched bodies with someone. When Koshiro and Zenko meet, the girl tells him that she will not tell him how to swap bodies, as it is a dream come true to be dating him and the life she has achieved. If he cheats on her, Zenko says she would not be able to survive. Returning to the protagonist, the woman explains the conditions for the exchange to be a success. The person has to take their life while the red moon happens. They must be seen by the person they want to be, and they have to die to be reborn. When Ayumi explains further that the first body swap has already taken place, the woman explains that there is no way to help her, as there is no way to swap. All the tests she did on her clients who tried to swap ended in tragedy. Kaga says she will walk Ayumi home, but she wants to be alone after the news that she will be trapped in this body forever. On the way, the protagonist begins to miss her parents and runs to the front of her house. She sees Zenko at the table, with them laughing and playing from the window. Soon, sadness takes over her body. Kaga catches her crying in front of the residence and decides to confess to her friend, saying that regardless of the body she is in, he loves her anyway. Koshiro also appears and hears Kaga's speech. He asks to talk to Ayumi, just the two of them. The protagonist ends up telling the boy that she met someone who knows how to change bodies and tells him the details, then adds that once it's done, she can't undo it. Koshiro, after finding out, gives Ayumi a strawberry drink and leaves. She is going home alone and comes across her friend Kaga again. The boy apologizes for revealing his feelings at this difficult time in the protagonist's life and says he will be there to support her whenever she needs it, regardless of the girl's feelings towards him. Kaga also reveals that he believes that Koshiro still likes Ayumi, as he was the one who warned him that she was in the dark in the classroom so that Kaga could save her, which indicates that he still cares. However, saying these feelings to Ayumi without talking about what Koshiro did for her would make Kaga feel like a coward for hiding them. Maria and Ritsu call Kaga to talk the next day at school. They ask him why he distanced himself from Ayumi, referring to Zenko in Ayumi's body, and Koshiro, and they also question him for getting closer to Zenko, in this case, Ayumi in Zenko's body. He confesses to liking Zenko to the girls. However, other boys in the class heard him as they passed by and took the information to the rest of the people in the classroom. Zenko in Ayumi's body, upon hearing this, starts to get irritated that someone likes her old body and that people pay attention to her. She leaves the classroom irritated and meets Koshiro, who says he has a plan to end the protagonist and Kaga. Meanwhile, Kaga defends the protagonist in front of everyone and says it's true that he likes her. This results in the girl getting closer to the rest of the class and no longer feeling so alone. Zenko starts to freak out in the art room and tells Koshiro that she suffered a lot in that body, and now they start to like him. The boy asks her to tell him more, and Zenko talks about how she was always alone. People felt disgusted by her just being near her and made a point of saying so, but everything got a little better when Koshiro helped her clean things up after class. Or when Zenko got sick and came back after a few days, the boy gave her notes of what she had to say. It was on that day that she started to hope that they could have some romance. So she decided to write a letter declaring herself, but she didn't have the courage to deliver it. On the way back, she ended up listening to Koshiro and Kaga's conversation, where he said he was going to tell Ayumi about her feelings, and Kaga supported him. Koshiro tells Zenko that he will make Ayumi and Kaga switch bodies, as he now knows how to do it. Zenko believes it is impossible, but the boys said that at most it will look like they took their own lives. The mysterious woman's little bird heard everything. In fact, he is a man who switched bodies with the animal and told her everything, so the woman named Yukon decides to call Kaga and Ayumi to tell them what she learned. The two don't believe that Koshiro would do that, and the woman just asks them to be careful, as the next red moon is close. On the same night, the two meet the boy and say that they believe in him and trust that he won't do anything. Yukon appears at school and goes after Zenko. The woman says she knows she took Ayumi's body and takes her to her laboratory. There, Yukon asks if she regrets it, and upon finding out that she doesn't, the woman says that she doesn't seem to be happy, even after all the dangers she faced to change bodies. When Zenko is returning from her place, she passes in front of an establishment and sees Ayumi having fun with some colleagues. This causes her to become anxious and start biting her nails again. The girl does not accept seeing her old body receiving attention. The next day, Kaga asks Ayumi to wait for him after class in the classroom, and Koshiro later says he wants to talk to her alone after class, then says that if the protagonist wants that too, to meet him in the art room. Ayumi decides to do as Koshiro asked and leave Kaga in the lurch. However, when she enters the art room, she comes across Zenko. And Koshiro is with Kaga in the classroom. The boy says that if he doesn't want something to happen to the protagonist, he needs to follow him. The two start fighting in a high place, while Zenko forces Ayumi to watch from the window. In the end, Koshiro and Kaga end up falling from their places, and the two of them switch bodies. Zenko becomes desperate when she approaches Koshiro's body because what she wanted most was for him to never change with Kaga. At the hospital, Zenko is desperate because she is afraid of the boys having swapped their bodies. When Koshiro's body is discharged, everything seems to get worse for the girl, as they have actually switched, and this is Kaga in her beloved's body. However, Koshiro in Kaga's body has not yet woken up. Ayumi calls Yukon to help in this situation, and the woman calms them down, as this has happened before, but everyone wakes up in the end. She adds that the body swaps only occurred because they both wanted to, otherwise, they wouldn't have worked. The next day, the protagonist is willing to do everything to make her friend happier and more comfortable, just like he did with her when her body was stolen. Zenko passes by just as her classmates are talking about Kaga, in Koshiro's body, and Ayumi, in Zenko's body, being a new couple. The girl begins to show more and more that she is not well, and she pushes away the few people who are left who want to be around her. Zenko receives a message from Koshiro, who is still in the hospital, and he tells her that she has woken up. The girl goes to Koshiro's room, and he asks her to stay with him, as he is still the same inside. In the next scene, we see Koshiro and Kaga in front of Zenko's house, where Ayumi is living because she is in the girl's body. They call her, and Kaga explains to her what Koshiro was doing all this time. The boy approached Zenko to find out how to bring Ayumi back to normal, and now he has a plan. The protagonist questions the two about whether it was all an invention and why they switched bodies, and then they explain the plan. Everyone will exchange their bodies until they return to their original ones first. Kaga will go to Zenko's body and Ayumi to Koshiro's. Then Zenko for Kaga's body, and Koshiro for Ayumi's. On the other red moon, they will switch to their original bodies and finish. However, Kaga reminds them that Zenko won't want to cooperate, so the only option is to trick her, just like the girl had done to Ayumi. However, the protagonist doesn't want to do the same thing that happened to her and thinks of a way to make her cooperate. Koshiro, going to Kaga's family's house, remembers how difficult the process of lying to his friend and his loved one was, even more so after seeing her fall in love with Kaga. Meanwhile, Ayumi approaches Zenko's mother. Returning to Koshiro, still on the way, he ends up meeting Zenko in the rain, and she throws herself at his feet, crying and asking the boy not to leave her alone. Now without friends, he is the only thing she has left again. Later, Koshiro realizes that he cannot deceive Zenko, so he calls Ayumi and Kaga and tells them that he will tell the girl the truth and try to convince her to cooperate. The next morning, Kaga brings news to her friends the red moon will only appear twice more and then never again, so Ayumi and the boy try to reach Koshiro before he talks to Zenko. However, they arrive too late, and in the end, the girl leaves school crying after learning that everything was a plan and that she was deceived this entire time. Kaga wants to go after Zenko, but Koshiro asks them to wait a day so she can think about the information she just received. The next day, it rains heavily in the morning, and Zenko doesn't show up to class. The teacher, before starting to teach the material, makes an announcement that the girl has been missing since the previous day. The students decide to go looking for her in the city, and Koshiro tells his friends that they need to find her soon, as he is afraid that she will take her own life, taking into account things she told him before. Meanwhile, Zenko is with Yukon and shows Koshiro's plan to the woman, who asks her if she wants to return to her old body. The girl says no, so Yukon tells her story and how she ended up trapped in a body that didn't belong to her. Over time, she became alone, and if Zenko doesn't want the same for herself, she advises her to do so. Returning to the protagonist, Ayumi's mother is helping her colleagues search for places that she knows are important for her daughter, and this sparks an idea in the girl. The protagonist goes to Zenko's house and talks about everything that has been happening since the beginning to the girl's mother, then asks if she knows of somewhere she could be. And the woman indicates a forest there. Ayumi starts to get nervous because she is afraid of the dark, but in the end she finds Zenko. The girl wants her to leave and doesn't accept help from the other two when they arrive. Despite the trio's efforts to try to make her feel better, nothing seems to be enough. Kaga gets angry and says that Zenko is obsessed with persecution. Amidst the argument and crying, Zenko's mother appears and hears everything. She can't believe that her daughter really did this and forces her to apologize to her colleagues. The woman adds that despite having a beautiful face now, her personality remains the same, and that's why she pushes people away. However, the girl rebels and breaks free from her mother's arms. After grabbing a box cutter, she runs to the roof. The group goes after her, and Zenko threatens to cut her face off the body she is in so that she stops being beautiful, and they stop liking Ayumi's face. The girl's mother comes up to the place and doesn't have the courage to slap her again. She decides to hug her daughter and apologize for leaving her alone for so long that the girl was like that. The trio reminds her that Ayumi and Koshiro tried to get closer to her several times, but the girl only pushed them away, and that it didn't have to be like that and it doesn't need to continue if she wants. They are there. The next day, the quartet put Koshiro's plan into practice, and it worked perfectly for the last 2 red moons. The protagonist can return to her life with her family, which she missed so much, and Zenko gets closer to her mother. Ayumi at school talks to her friends and says that she can't go back to dating Koshiro or starting with Kaga. She can't go back to normal now that she knows everything. So Kaga takes her to talk to just the two of them and says that if he has something to steal, he will do it, but he knows that Koshiro beats him when it comes to who the girl likes, and everything is fine. We see Kaga before entering the classroom. The boy is a little upset and emotional, but he hides it and encourages Zenko to enter. She is more in tune with her colleagues, and it is a chance to start over. Koshiro later says that it was cool to have been in Ayumi's body with Kaga, and the two play with this little secret. Zenko is now part of the group, and everything ends well. What did you think of this season? I hope you liked the summary. Leave your suggestions in the comments and subscribe. If you liked the video, like and share to help me. Until next time.